France were the first nation to qualify for the knockout stages at the 2022 Qatar World Cup. On the last day of match week 2, Brazil and Portugal also sealed the spot in the last 16. But with third match week starting from today, it still remains to be seen which will be the 13 nations who will qualify for the round of 16. So starting with Group A, Sandeep, which has Netherlands, Ecuador, Senegal and Qatar. So Netherlands are at 4 points currently, and Ecuador are also at 4 points, Senegal at 3 and Qatar at 0. Netherlands and Qatar will be up against each other tonight, and Senegal and Ecuador will be up against each other. Netherlands are favourites here because Qatar has been subdued throughout the tournament.
They'll pick up those 3 points against Qatar, so shouldn't be a problem. But I think Ecuador needs a draw. I think with a draw they go through.
Yeah.
Because Senegal needs a win out
Needs
there.
a win, yeah.
But it's still a close game. I still feel Ecuador has probably played their best in the first 2 matches. And maybe now probably Senegal in a way will find a way out on how to counter them,
Yeah.
One centre forward, he's scoring all the goals out there. So it's not easy to counter, but still they'll probably figure out a way. But I think the easier job is probably to draw. For Ecuador, though they won't play for it. Of course, everybody's going to play for a win.
Yeah.
But expect Senegal to be massively aggressive in this particular match. The first one is not going to be difficult. Netherlands will sail through against Qatar. So they're topping the pool and going off. So that's going to be the results out there.
What would be your pick in between Ecuador and Senegal?
I think at this moment of time, Senegal.
Senegal,
of course, yeah.
They've picked up momentum after the Qatar win, right?
Yeah, I mean, soft spot, of course. Yeah. African nation need to win, not that Ecuador shouldn't, but they've also come through a massively tough qualifying zone and all of that. But I think at this moment of time, if you look at momentum, form, all of that, Senegal just might be pipping them by 5%, 8% in that sense. Again, how the flow of the game and everything all depends here, because you've seen over the last couple of days, 2-0 leads are not going to be enough. You still have 2-2, then you have 3-3, you have 3-2, all of those things are happening. So for Senegal, it's early goals and how you can maintain that. Because Ecuador will come strong, of course, they also want to be there.
Yeah.
But I think Senegal should be the one can tip off.
Right. We are expecting Netherlands and Senegal to qualify for the knockout stages from Group A. Moving on to Group B, where we have England, Iran, USA and Wales. So England, who were considered the favourites to top the group, are at the top with 4 points currently with their last match against Wales. Whereas Iran and USA in a headline fixture play their last match, and the winner of this match will plausibly get a spot in the last 16. So I see England going through, but what about the second spot, Sandeep?
I think Iran probably, geopolitical, all of that kept aside. This particular match has different repercussions, reverberations across both the countries. And at this moment of time, if you really look at Iran has finally started gelling together. This match for both US as well as Iran has a different value, which goes beyond winning a particular game. Winning, of course, is more like okay, we got one over you. But I think Iran probably will bring a little more fervor, which is probably away from what football does. US is not going to fire themselves up, because that firing up is probably Iran's side. But I still feel there could be a draw here. I don't think you might see an outright winner. This is going to be a safe play for both the teams.
Even a draw will help Iran, I guess.
Iran goes through if it's a draw.
If it's a draw.
And for Wales, England, one really hopes Wales wins. 3 points. I mean, for me, it's more of a Gareth match. Probably his last game in a way, if they're going to lose this one. But if he wins, then England also needs to do something.
England, Wales and Iran will be on 4 points if Wales wins and Iran and USA play a draw.
So who goes through then?
Then in that situation, the team with the highest goal difference, like a positive goal difference.
That's England on top then.
Yeah. Goes through. And if the goal difference is also equal, then the team which has scored more will go further.
Yeah.
So in this group, we are anticipating England and Iran. Although USA has a sharp side, they can also pull off a victory against Iran.
Sure. Yeah.
So it will be a tight contest. It remains to be seen. In Group C, we have Poland, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico. After 2 match weeks, everyone expected Argentina to be at the top of the group. But unexpectedly, we have Poland right at the top with 4 points.
They're probably almost any team can probably go through in this one.
Yeah.
So Poland is going to be tough, and I think Saudi
The
Arabia.
last clash is Argentina versus Poland and Saudi Arabia versus Mexico.
I think Saudi Arabia is going to be a tough opponent in this one. They have different ways to, create and recreate their own moves. They got a good coach, a very good team on a momentum. The Poland versus Argentina is a match that's going to be very exciting. It's going to be really, really exciting. And I think Poland, in a way, has come into its own. Lewandowski has finally got a goal, so he's going to be fighting on a very different front.
Yeah.
But Argentina is still evolving and revolving around their man Friday, which is Messi. And in so many ways, he's the only guy who's probably putting everything together. Now, if Poland can somehow stop him to do that, and which happened in the most of the first halves, that's what exactly has happened. Then these guys have a point here. Then Poland might pull through somewhere, but that would be disastrous for Argentina. Yeah, that would be really disastrous for them.
But they were looking hungry in the last match. Whenever they were losing possession, 2 or 3 players were jumping onto the ball to get the ball back.
But the question is that after Messi's goal, there was a momentum. But before Messi's goal, there was no momentum happening. There was no rhythm happening. The flanks were not moving properly. Even the middle zone, I think, was very sluggish. Till Di Maria found that particular space and he saw Messi right there at the, on the top of the striking area. But how does one do that against Poland is the big question, because they are not going to be going all out. They are also going to be playing 4 at the back. They're going to be very, very tight for this match. At the end of the day, it's qualification.
And they are a physical side.
They are massively physical, and they need to qualify. They want to qualify, and with Lewandowski now striking and feeling, that whole pressure probably has got released.
He was crying after that goal.
That's the World Cup thing. I mean, probably never cried for Bayern in that sense, or Barca. But that's the good part about a World Cup. It releases pressure, and suddenly you find yourself very free to be able to play. And I think that's what Argentina is going to fear coming from him.
Also, Saudi Arabia versus Mexico. Saudi Arabia will have their home fans backing them. So it's a possibility that they could, yield a result here against a Mexico side.
They're expecting 50,000. They're expecting 50,000 for this game, which is like almost another team playing out there. So it's instead of 11, you probably see 22 out there, playing. So Mexico has it up, but Saudi Arabia, you look at the bigger picture. Talk about a bigger picture in a World Cup. Saudi Arabia win means a lot for the region. It means huge for the region. It means a huge amount for Saudi Arabian football, which is doing so well at under 14, 15, 16, 17 levels. The league's doing pretty well for them. They have 30,000, 35,000 people, watching those kind of games. I think it's going to take Saudi Arabia football, Middle East football, Arab football, Asian football onto a very different plane.
Different level.
People will start looking at them in a very different light. Now you look at them like, okay, fine, they're still the also-rans.
Still underdogs.
I think it's just not Saudi Arabia. I think the Asian Football Federation, the Asians in large, are going to look at this game a little more closely. So a win is a win for Asia. Let's put it that way.
A win for Argentina and Saudi Arabia will put them in the top 2 spots. But what will be your prediction for this group? C.
Poland to go through.
Yeah.
And I expect Saudi Arabia to win that match.
So Argentina out of the World Cup.
Out of the World Cup.
Okay, we are expecting Saudi Arabia and Poland to qualify and Argentina to get back to their home in the group stage itself. Moving on to Group D, we have the defending champions France, who have already qualified for the round of 16. Then we have Australia on the second spot, who defeated Tunisia 1-0 in a recent match. On the third spot, we have Denmark, who lost to France in their second clash, and Tunisia, who are yet to book a win in this tournament. So France will be playing against Tunisia in their last clash, and Denmark will be up against Australia.
Denmark needs a win here.
Yeah, it's a must win for them.
Yeah, but France having qualified, they'll still play strong, of course. They need all the points in a sense. So Tunisia, absolutely no chance against an extremely strong French side. France is through, so you expect Denmark to come
win
through.
against
You expect
Australia
Denmark to come through. So these are the 2 teams that will go through from here.
And also, we should talk about what Mbappe is doing at France with the French team. The kind of goals he scored against Denmark. One was through his thigh, unexpectedly, the cross that came via Griezmann. So he's just getting into those goal scoring positions, isn't it? In the absence of Benzema.
I think it's probably the same thing as what happened in the last World Cup, where he took a little bit of time to settle in. But once settled in, I mean, like, you know, just speaking on the same thing about Mbappe coming onto a world stage. These are the guys who require big stages. These are the guys who requires knockouts, quarterfinals to be able to play and express themselves in that sense, you know. And he's always done that, whether it's for club or country, he's always come good. Mbappe, in a quarterfinal situation, if a semi-final situation, if at all they reach there, is the most dangerous player at this moment of time. I put him right at the top, above all players, including the Brazilians, including the Argentinians if they go through, including whoever is out there. He is the most clinical, and the pace and the skill that he combines is much better at this moment of time than any Brazilian player out there. So I think there is this massive fear that's going to be around France if they go through. I mean, they're already through, but if they go through the quarters and all, there's this fear factor that will come in once Mbappe has it. He's going to be the most crucial player for France in this particular World Cup.
Mbappe was in the limelight due to the goals that he scored, but we can't deny that Griezmann was at the top of his game as well. He was the architect behind the victory. He delivered that cross to Mbappe. Then he also delivered, he also tried a through ball from the defensive third to the final third, which Mbappe almost got it, but Christensen committed a foul. So how crucial is Griezmann for France?
Griezmann is an enigma. I mean, such a huge player for France, and then you have so many dips at the club level that he's never really come into his own, you know. Maybe probably long time back that United move should have happened and he should have gone through with that, but he didn't. Now back to Atletico. And he's one of those players like Mbappe, like so many others who probably play at a very different level when it comes to national sides. And I think that's exactly what Didier had already said much earlier, that he is my player. He's the guy who I always want. He's the one who delivers on that particular stage. And in most of these games he's been playing much higher at what he plays at the club level. So dangerous part about France, they're all putting these little boxes through. You know, all the boxes are being tick marked, and then you'll have this massively strong side that will enter the knockouts or the quarters in that sense.
In the absence of Pogba and Kante, France are doing well, and Griezmann and Mbappe have been at the top of their game. So we are expecting France and Christian Eriksen's Denmark to qualify from Group D. Moving on to Group E, where we have a very free-flowing Spanish side, a side like Germany who are struggling at the moment and could be out of the tournament if they don't win their last match. Then Japan, who handed Germany a loss in their first game, and Costa Rica, who handed Japan a loss in their second game. So this has been a topsy-turvy group, to be honest. And then the 1-1 draw between Spain and Germany has left it all to the last day in this group. So what are we expecting from this group? Are Germany out of the World Cup in group stages again?
They still need a win.
Yeah.
I mean, in this situation, you can still have Spain and Germany through.
Yeah.
Virtually.
Because Germany is playing Costa Rica.
They are on 1 point. They need those 3, so they go to 4. But Spain probably looks like one of those teams that, along with Brazil and France, who's going to be there right at the top.
Right
technically so good, so good that you can't even fault them at any stage. But the rest of the teams, I think it all depends on how...
Can we easily Spain getting past Japan with the likes of Pedri, Gavi and Busquets in the midfield?
Absolutely. I don't see Japan... They will have an opposition, of course. But looking at the way Spain plays, looking at the way they can, you know, looking at the flanks and everything that they have, looking at the way they normally go through with a lot of stuff, Japan should not be an issue for them unless there is this massive rear counter-attacks that happen, like what South Korea created yesterday in those games. Unless Japan starts doing that, which I really seriously doubt right now against Spain, because they have such a strong side that they can tackle any kind of, you know, circumstances that happen in a particular game. Spain, easy to go through. One just hopes Germany can get
Spain were flawless against Costa Rica, but there were some attacking shortcomings that we saw in the game against Germany, isn't it? So can it be a problem deep into the tournament?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. They will improve. They'll keep improving like what France has done. They'll just keep improving. The big question is Germany through or not? That is the big one.
But they have the potential, and I would want them into the round of 16 because they have played good football but have been unlucky.
The question is that if they go through, then they become extremely dangerous, because that's what history has always said. Germany always goes through, and Germany will always have a dangerous thing. So
it would be quite a tournament for Germany if they progress into the final stages and get into the later stages of the tournament from this start to the tournament. So in this group, we are expecting Spain to top and Germany to take the second spot. Moving on to Group F, where we have Croatia up at top, Morocco on second, Belgium on third, and Canada on the fourth. And Canada have become the first nation to be knocked out of the World Cup. So what can we expect here? Belgium out of the World Cup?
no, I don't think so. They're still there. They need this win.
Yeah, Belgium
and they can get
versus
this
Croatia is a do or die match.
Yeah. And the way all of these things are now started appearing in the Belgium papers, European newspapers about the problems in the side. I think if I was the coach, I'll probably put Kevin on the bench. I'll probably not even play him. I'll say, listen, you had no right to give that kind of an interview. Who gives those interviews? I mean, which player in his right mind would say, we're never going to win the World Cup, this team is all aged, these players can't do it? I mean, who does that?
We are outsiders.
Yeah. Has he ever said those kind of things for Man City? Has he ever said anything when he was playing for other clubs? It's outrageous. I mean, I can't even believe that somebody, a player of his caliber, saying something like that. And Martinez, of course, I mean, whatever interviews he's given, whatever quotes Martinez has, he seems to be very upset. But of course, as a coach, he can't express himself too openly.
Yeah.
This, if they can bring this back somehow, you know, and a lot of people are actually talking that he's probably said this, they're playing Croatia.
Yeah, in the final match.
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying they're probably putting Croatia on the wrong foot by saying that, you know, we can't do this, we can't accomplish anything here.
It's mind games.
Yeah, so if that is there, and then you have 3 points, so they will be through out there. So I don't know what happens to Croatia if they lose.
If Croatia loses and Morocco wins against Canada,
so they are through.
Then Morocco are through. Yeah. And Morocco haven't conceded in their last 6 matches.
Well, at this point of time, if you really ask me, okay, let's have Belgium through and Morocco.
Yeah, it will be Morocco versus Canada basically. So Morocco has a upper hand here.
African side.
Yeah.
To go, yeah.
Okay, so we are expecting Belgium and Morocco in Group F. Moving on to Group G, where we have another nation who have qualified for the round of 16, Brazil. They booked a narrow 1-0 victory against Switzerland last night with the help of Casemiro's volley, and now they are through. On the second spot, we have Switzerland, third Cameroon, fourth Serbia. So how could this group emerge out at the end of third match?
Brazil's gone, so they are in the clear.
Yeah.
So
Switzerland with 3 points, Cameroon with 1, and Serbia with 1.
We still expect Cameroon probably. If they get 3, so they go to 4. Switzerland needs to lose. Then only will they remain on 3. So Cameroon at this point of time, again, a team that's coming into its own. But it's difficult to even visualize anything beyond.
But Cameroon will be up against Brazil, and it will be Switzerland versus Serbia.
That's what I'm saying. So they are coming into their own. Maybe they'll probably find Brazil on. And as I'm constantly saying, Brazil has a problem with its defense. You know, you may have Thiago Silva, 38 years old or whatever. But the issues are there, and those issues are there because they look like being there. It's not that easy. I mean, at this point of time, you look at Vinicius, he's the only guy who seems to be all over the screen, you know. He's the only guy who seems to be creating, playing, missing, getting those offsides and, you know, falling into that trap. But the backside has not been challenged till now. And maybe the team that challenges them could probably find those weaknesses. I mean, you look at the qualifying, they probably conceded, 5 or 6 goals only throughout 17 matches. And even here, not a single shot on goal.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to affect Alisson, because the training and everything is done in a way that even if you don't have a shot for 3 matches, it doesn't mean that the goalkeeper is going to go weak or something. But the back line has a brittleness to it that probably has not been exploited. Now, what happens if a team goes into that final third and is massively aggressive, because this is a do or die? Then what happens?
A side like France, for instance.
So, for example, you have a scoreline of 2-1 for Cameroon. Impossible to think about it right now like that, but Cameroon is capable of creating something. Now, if that happens, 4 points.
Abu Bakar,
Yeah.
we saw how Abu Bakar chipped over the keeper in the last match against Serbia. So it's totally a possibility that Cameroon can book a win against Brazil.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
yeah.
if they do, then they will be through.
They'll be
Switzerland and Serbia will be out,
Yeah.
regardless of the result between them. So we are expecting Brazil and Cameroon to go through from Group G. Now moving on to the last group, which is Group H, where we have another round of 16 contender, Portugal. They have booked a victory last night against South American heavyweights Uruguay. They won by 2-0 and they are through. On the second spot, we have Ghana, third South Korea, fourth Uruguay. So in this situation, can Uruguay make it? It's a repeat, Uruguay versus Ghana, similar to what we saw in 2010.
Well, revenge match. You
Yeah.
can call it anything you want out there. So Ghana is still strong. Ghana is still looking very strong, and
They defeated South Korea.
yeah, and they will get across Uruguay. Uruguay is just after the 60th minute. Uruguay is just not playing anymore. The players are not gelling. They are not coming in. Heavy legs. You know that the team is not tried and tested. You know that the team is overweight in some areas. Including their own physical weights. So it's not a team that can put across or probably think that they can get across Ghana easily. Ghana has the upper hand here, and Ghana will probably use a little more of imagination against Uruguay because they know that after the 60th minute, this team is going to loosen up. And I think Ghana probably has a massive big chance out there today.
You're right. The Uruguay team is just not clicking, and Ghana would be the favorites here. But let's talk about the goal last night. The goal that Portugal scored, Bruno Fernandes curling cross, and it touches the hair of Ronaldo and the ball hits the back of the net. So what did you think at that point of time? Did you consider that to be a Ronaldo goal, or in first instance you thought that was Fernandes?
No, it was Fernandes. I mean, it's another matter that the great man makes it as if every goal is his, or it should be his. But it's so irrational sometimes when you look at Ronaldo that why create something when something is not there? Why create an issue? Individual is fine, and I do believe that individual players are great players. This is what actually shines for them. This is what makes them cross the line. This is what actually puts them through. It's like this whole example of how does one become great? Not that what he's doing is wrong in a way. It's all he's vain. Everybody knows that. He has a massively big ego, and that's probably what pushes him through. But at this stage, even after the final whistle, you're pointing out that this is my goal. This is my goal. That becomes a little bit more for Bruno, in that sense. So I think probably he rides on this. This is his.
Still his teammates are backing him. That's what they have to do. But
He's a scorer. He's a scorer at the end of the day. Listen, he's a big player. None of the other players in that team match up to him. And I say match up not because of just skills, but match up to that character, that personality that is out there. And that carries a team. There's no doubt about it. It always carries a team because the other opponent always believes Cristiano Ronaldo in a box is a massively dangerous guy. It always carries. And for some reason or the other, you will see, you don't ignore him when you are passing the ball. You don't ignore him. You always at the back of your mind, you have Ronaldo out there. It's like, you always have Messi at the back of your mind. You always have Vinicius at the back of your mind that, he's the guy who's going to be there. If Neymar is there, you're going to give a ball because he can create something more. That's what Messi created, and that's what Ronaldo creates. But this sometimes becomes a little bit too much for a lot of fans to even take. But then that's Cristiano Ronaldo for you. You can't do anything about it.
Enough about Ronaldo, but what about Fernandes? 2 goals and 2 assists in just 2 matches.
He's coming into his own. He's coming into his own, and that's good for Portugal because now you're going to see team efforts. Now you're not just going to focus on individual. And Bruno brings that. He brings it for United. He's bringing it for Portugal, making it more dangerous for opponents now.
So we are expecting Portugal and Ghana to progress from Group H. That's it from this episode. Stay connected to News 9 to know more about the World Cup. This is us signing off.